Greetings, residents of Earth. It is I, Christina, here at Fit and Bendy with our third spinal health and flexibility video, where we're going to get deeper into building the active flexibility of our spine and building up our muscles. All you need for this video is a pair of socks, and we're going to start standing. So let's get to it. Let's start by just saying hello to all these muscles that support our spine with a little spinal movement. Feet hip width apart, knees soft. And for this one, I'm going to bring both hands up and interlace my hands behind my head. I'm creating a little basket with my fingers, and I'm going to press my head back into my hands. So I'm really working on bringing my head directly over my shoulders. With the knees soft, I'm just going to do some little pulses, bringing those elbows wide. And it's really important as you're doing this to keep your shoulder blades apart. So this pulsing is coming from the shoulder joint, not because I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together. We always want the shoulder blades to be apart when we are attempting our back bend. Shoulder blades make it hard for the spine to bend. All right, so let's stop with those elbows back. And as I inhale, I'm going to start to lift my chest, bringing my chin up towards the ceiling. My butt is going to go back, so I'm squeezing the back of my body, creating a nice little nest for my head with my hands. My elbows stay wide. And then as I exhale, I'm going to straighten my legs, lengthen out my hip flexors, lift my belly button up to my spine, and make this candy cane shape. I'm still pressing my head up into my hands, so there's no pulling forward with my hands. I'm always creating some strength in my neck, not just letting it get yanked on. Let's go the other direction again. So we're going to inhale. Everything lifts, chin, chest, butt, elbows nice and wide. Squeeze those back muscles, and then legs straighten. Use your butt a little bit here to help you create the tuck. Feel nice and long through the front of your hips as you make this beautiful candy cane shape going up and over with your body. We're going to do one more big inhale. Should feel very nice. Lots of extension, opening. Take a huge breath into your ribs like they're going to float up towards the ceiling. And exhale. And think about bringing your butt forward between your legs and trying to get your armpits towards your hip bones. Press that head up into the hands. Feel that stretch through your back. And then roll back up. And just shake it out for a moment. Important to do goofy shakeouts in between everything. The goofier, the better. All right. We're going to build on this movement, but add a twist, literally. So we're going to get into the side body work. So here I am, hands behind my head, knees soft. And this time as I go into my back bend, I'm going to twist my hips right and my body left. So now I'm trying to kind of look down at my left butt as I back bend. And then as I straighten my legs, I'm going to bring my hips left and my body right. So now I'm going up and over, and I'm looking down at the outside of my right thigh. So I'm now getting into the muscles along the sides of my body, the sides of my spine, and feeling my rotational capacity. So how good my body is at twisting one direction and the other. And it's really fun to do this because you can really feel the difference in your body left to right. So it could be that twisting one direction feels a lot easier than twisting the other direction. And if that's happening to you, I highly recommend doing a few more of them in the direction that feels challenging for you to start to get your body a little bit more even, because most of us are a little lopsided. All right, let's do the same thing, other direction. So now I'm going to arch my back. I'm bringing hips left, body right. I'm trying to look at my right butt coming back behind me. And then I'm going to straighten my legs up and over, lifting my mid back to the ceiling, still pressing my head up into my hands as I twist and look down at the outside of my left thigh. And notice I'm going pretty slow. And of course you could speed these up. There's no law saying that you can't do that, but I really like to get into the feeling of them. So every time I move through this, I'm just trying to feel like, what am I leaving out? Which muscles in my body are not excited about doing this? How can I get a little bit more engagement, a little bit more depth with every repetition? Let's just do one more here. Twisting right, feeling those muscles in the right side of the waist, and then extending to the left, up and over, feeling the rib cage lift away from the hips as I bring my mid back up towards the ceiling, and then back up to center, and shake it out as goofy as possible. All right, beautiful work. Let's do a little bit of side body work. So we got our twist in, we got our forward and back in, let's get our sideways in. So this is building on some of the earlier work we did, finding that slide in the torso. We're just gonna make it a little bit more challenging here. So I'm gonna do it with my arms overhead, reaching up. This is gonna create a longer, heavier lever. So I'm gonna slide my ribs over to the right, and then I'm gonna lift the left side of my ribs up towards the ceiling. Hips go out to the left, and I'm gonna start to bring my body down towards the floor. Now, really important to not collapse here. So the whole time I'm thinking about lifting this up towards the ceiling, not just bringing my right shoulder down towards the floor. So there's always a feeling of length through my body, which is gonna make those side leaning muscles have to work. I'm not just collapsing into my flexibility here. And lift it back up. Hopefully it feels really good. Let's go the other direction. Sliding out to the left, lifting on the right side, and hips go out, and I'm thinking up, up, up with the right side of my body. Use your breath a little bit if you need to think about inflating the right lung even a little bit more than the left to get that extra length on the right side of the body. Big breath in here. Use your breath, don't hold it. And back up to center. All right, that felt yummy. Let's get into a quick lunge to open up those hips. So come on down to the floor. Before we get into deeper back bending, we are going to open up our hips a little. So let's find a nice knee down lunge here. And I'm making sure that my hips are pretty even across here and that I'm not allowing my left hip to open up. So I'm really trying to create the most neutral square pelvis possible. And I'm going to scrunchie this foot a little bit further forward and float my arms up in front of me. And I'm pulling with the back of my front leg to get this hip to open up. And that's just going to give me a little bit deeper stretch every time. I'm really using the back of my right leg to create the opening in the front of my left hip. I'm gently pushing my left foot down into the floor back here. And I'm also using a little bit of my left butt, especially that downstairs butt where the hip, where the butt and the thigh come together, to try to create more opening in the hip. And then my abs are working like crazy to tuck the pelvis. Gradually getting a little bit deeper into that hip flexibility. The temptation here is to arch the back and kind of sink into the back flexibility. So I am really trying to use my abdominal muscles to resist that and to lift with my abs, using my abdominal strength to push the stretch into the hip rather than sinking into the lower back. Let's go ahead and hold that stretch. We're going to bring both arms up into the air and just get a little bit of a side bend. And I'm thinking of bringing my hip slightly out to the left as my body goes to the right. I'm using those side bending muscles that I just created and strengthened to think about lifting my ribs up towards the ceiling as I tuck my pelvis under. There is nothing relaxing in this stretch. This is extremely active. A lot of muscles working here. All right, back up to center. Same thing, other side. Oh, there's a dog there. All right. Adding another level of challenge to my workouts. So now we've got the left foot forward, right foot back. So now I get to use the strength of this left leg. My arms are out in front of me, and I'm pulling with my left leg to open up the right hip. And for me, my right hip is a little bit tighter than my left hip. So part of that is really trusting my left leg enough so that my right hip feels like it can relax. And the stronger I get on my left leg, which is my non-dominant side, the more openness I can get on my right hip. So it's important to understand that we're not just working the leg that's stretching. We're working everything together. All of it is coordinating to create the movements. Let's just do 2 more of these little pulses here. And we're going to stop in that forward position. I'm trying to find that deep tuck, lifting with my abs. Both arms come up over my head, and I'm reaching my right ribs up to the ceiling. Pressing the top of my right foot down into the floor, creating the longest line possible up the right side of my body. My right hip can shift out just a little bit, which is going to help me get a little bit more into the psoas stretch. Very nice stretch there. Lots of work in my lower body. Constantly challenging the edges of my strength and flexibility. And come on out. Now we get to use those nice open hips that we just created to do some active back bends. So grab your socks. I love this sequence. It feels so good. You're just going to lay on your back, and we're going to start with your normal old shoulder bridge, which everybody knows, right? So my feet are planted firmly on the floor, hip width apart, and I'm going to try to slide my feet in towards my butt, tuck my pelvis under, and use the muscles right in my downstairs butt, where my butt and my thigh come together, to find that deep tuck and lift up into shoulder bridge. And I like to do the sequence with my arms up overhead, just because it gives a little bit of bonus shoulder extension. Everybody knows this nice shoulder bridge. Here I'm feeling my butt work, my hips open up, feels really good. Now we're going to play with this a little by moving this work from the butt into the back. So to do that, now I'm thinking of lifting my chest, my ribs towards the ceiling. I'm dropping my pelvis down. So now I've taken my butt out, and I'm using my back muscles to support me. And I'm just going to lower my butt down to the floor while I lift my ribs as high as I can. My butt gently kisses the floor. And then I'm going to use my back muscles to, again, lift up towards the ceiling. And then I'm going to switch again by tucking the pelvis under, pressing the feet, pulling with the backs of the legs, and using that butt to hold my body. And now my back is lengthening, my hip flexors are lengthening as I roll back down. And I'm trying to create more and more and more length in the spine. So now I'm starting to feel how versatile this position is, right? As I roll up this time, keeping that deep tuck, I'm lifting with my butt muscles. I can feel how my butt muscles create that length in my hips as I come up. Now, when I switch to the back strength, this position can be used to strengthen the muscles along my spine. Open up the front of the rib cage, and I can get that nice active engagement through my back as I drop my butt down, lifting up even higher with my ribs as I come back up. Find that tuck again. Now I'm switching back to the butt. So this is really giving me a sense of awareness and control of all the different muscles and how they work to support my spine, so that I can make informed choices about how I'm holding my body and supporting my back bends. All right, let's use those muscles and that awareness to come up into some nice active cobras. And we are going to have to move the dog. Baby, yeah, sorry. There we go. Yeah, go on. You're okay. All right. Normally, I just let her lie wherever she wants, but every once in a while, something else has to give. All right. We're going to fold the mat over to make a nice cushion for our hips, and we're going to grab our socks or leg warmers and put them on our hands. And this is to create a nice sliding on the floor. So if you don't have a hardwood floor, if you have a carpet, get a couple pieces of cardboard, because those are going to be the best sliders on carpet. Laying all the way down on your belly, extend your arms out over your head. And we're going to start just by saying hello to the muscles that control our shoulder blades, because this is going to be the initiating point for the upper back movement. So here I am, I'm trying to pull my scapula apart away from my spine, and my arms right now, my shoulders are feeling pretty relaxed. And I'm really just feeling the movement coming from my upper back. I'm getting used to having a relationship with those upper back muscles. and feeling how important they are, all the different things that they can do. I can make this movement a little harder by floating my arms up off the floor. And then I can get these big scapular movements to happen with a little bit of resistance from gravity, making all of that a lot harder. And this is one of my favorite shoulder exercises. You may recognize it from our shoulder sequence, but it is a fantastic warm-up for getting into upper back bending. Let's stop with those arms up overhead. Just reach them out and drop them back down to the floor and still feel that reach. Imagine that you're still lifting your arms up off the floor, using it to press your armpits down to create that stretch through the shoulders. Now, we're going to slide the shoulder blades down the back, and you're going to feel that automatically as those shoulder blades slide down, it makes your chest come up. And you can feel how those same muscles that control your shoulder blades that we were just playing with also help to create a bend in your thoracic spine, your upper back spine. So see if you can feel that upper back learning to bend. As you start to get used to that, we're going to start to get into the mid-back. So once I get my upper back bending, I'm going to think about sliding my ribs forward along the floor and the shoulder blades come down even further to lift up and get that bend in the mid-back. Let's try it again. So my shoulder blades come down, chest comes forward. As my chest comes up a little higher, my ribs come forward and the shoulder blades go even further down. I'm thinking about trying to lift my sternum up towards the ceiling. Mid-back. I can really feel those mid-back muscles firing. Now we're going to get into the lower back. So those muscles that we just woke up in the last bridging exercise, I'm going to feel those downstairs butt muscles and those lower back muscles. So I start with my upper back. There it goes. Now my upper back is bending. Then I get into my mid-back. Okay, my mid-back is bending. And now I've got my lower back muscles where I can really find them and use my back muscles to lift myself up higher. And I'm doing this with very little help from my arms. Yes, there's weight in my arms, but they're sliding, so I can't just push myself up with my arms. I really have to lift myself with my back. Let's do that one more time. So shoulders down, chest forward. Here's my mid-back, shoulders down even more, ribs forward. Now, downstairs butt, tuck the pelvis, open up the front of the hips, engage those lower back muscles. Let's just hold at the top here. Lift your chest. Think about your chest becoming the highest point in your body as it lifts towards the ceiling. And then as we slide down, go slow. Control it. Feel each vertebrae of your spine gradually lengthening out as you reach down to the floor. And obviously this won't be your deepest back bend because it is very active, but that's why I love it, because it's really going to help you to build the strength in your spine. Let's do some forward bending, pulling back. So my knees come forward. I'm just dropping my forehead down to the floor, and I like to just rock side to side here. Feels good on my spine. I'm trying to touch my butt to my heels and thinking about using my abs to slightly round my spine, lifting my mid back up towards the ceiling to get that nice forward bending and that relaxing in the back after all that deep activation. You can curl up a little bit here and press the hands into the floor. And I'm pushing down with my hands, keeping my shoulders away from my ears. And again, using my abs to lift my mid back up. I'm feeling like I'm trying to slide my knees forward to get a deep tuck in my pelvis here. Very important to get this stretch in the lower back after all of that deep compression. All right, folks, that felt fantastic. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. Please leave all of your questions and comments below. We have other workouts available for the back. If this was too easy, we have a harder one. If this was too hard, we have easier ones. So find what works best for you, but above all, be consistent. Backbending is all about consistency. You got to be regular with it. All right, let me know if you have any questions. And as always, happy bendings.